Hello, everybody. We are talking today, and I'm going to introduce this conversation with Michael Zuber. I'm Chad Carson. People call me Coach Carson. And I've had this question on my podcast recently. There was a really good discussion point, a lot of comments, and it's just this. The point of real estate investing for many people is to live off your rental income, to get to financial freedom, to be able to take out the rental income and live off of it. But I had somebody kind of do a nice debate with me recently saying that actually living off your rental income once you actually retire is probably not a good idea because of the ups and downs and the fact that you have rental vacancies and capital expenses. And so I said, I want to talk to Michael Zuber about this one. He and I both have used real estate to achieve financial freedom. We've had to have the details of living off our income. And I
Mm.
want to say, Michael, what's your thought? Can you actually live off rental income? Is that a good idea? Is that something people should focus on?
This is an interesting thing, and we're going to have kind of an open discussion. So first and foremost, you absolutely can, retire on your income. And how can I say that? Well, I've been retired since 2018, my wife since 2015, and we've lived off our rental income since then. So it's absolutely possible. But if you step back from the bigger question, Chad, and you go, is that what most people should plan for? I don't think, I think it's a reasonable thing to say that maybe it's not something that most people should plan for. I think, like I've always talked about, it was actually in your book, Small and Mighty Investor. I always talk about getting to 4, right? That was my big grand plan. And my plan in the beginning wasn't to have 4 properties to live off of. It was to complement my retirement because I thought you had to work till 65. Maybe today you got to work till 70. And I thought having 4 properties at that point being free and clear, it would provide more opportunities and more options in a better retirement. So I think it's reasonable to say, Chad, that most people should look at rental properties as a complement to their retirement plan. But I mean, if you just want to put a gun to head and say, is it's possible? Yeah. I mean, I talk to 6 or 7 millionaires every week on my channel who solely live off rental income. So it's absolutely possible, but I'm not sure it's right for everybody.
Yeah, and I just for the record, I have as well. Like I've added other income sources, but for many years now, definitely since 2017, but even before then, partially, real rental income has paid for my family's lifestyle. So it is possible. But I think what I want to dig into, Michael, one of the objections is that when you have to live off your income, whether it's a pension from your Social Security, whether it's taking out money from your 401k, whether it's living off rental income, you're transitioning from this point where you live out off of a salary, which we
Mhm.
can make an argument whether that's really secure or not because the job could drop you anytime. But
Absolutely.
you have this paycheck that comes in every single month that seems to be steady, at least while you have that job. Whereas rental income, it does have its ups and downs and roller
For
coasters.
sure.
Can you talk about that aspect of it? Like what
Well,
about the dependability of rental income?
yeah, so absolutely. So if you just look at it, on a single month to month basis, we have some months that are great and some that aren't. But that's not how it really works if you're a good operator. If you're a good operator of real estate, there's a couple of things. A, you have reserves, right? Because evictions happen, repairs happen, that turns happen. So one of the things you must do as an operator is have a financial reserve for those things that happen at intervals that cannot be planned. So that's where a lot of that goes. And once you use it, you need to build it back up and all of that. So that's the first thing that I would tell somebody. If you're going to own rentals for years, and in this case, decades, like retirement, you're not taking every single piece of cash flow and living on it. You're taking a percentage of it and living on, but putting the other towards reserves. And then the second thing, if you're talking about living off of your rentals, and again, if you only get to 4, is cash flow is not the only option, right? One of the things that hopefully you guys have learned by now that the rich do is they don't live on income. They live on debt. So one of the things that I thought about doing when I had 4 rental properties and they were free and clear when I was 65 or 70 was, you know what? I can go back and refi one of them at 50% LTV, so still safe, still cash flow, and I'm going to get 150, $200,000 that's debt that I can do what I want with. And, you can live a long time on $200,000. And then, oh, by the way, 3, 4 years later, go back and do that again. So when you own assets, and rental properties are assets, they produce dividends called cash flow. you can use those assets as other things. And one of the things that we can do is take debt out on assets. So um, there's other ways to help as well.
Yeah, I love that. I want to pinpoint on that idea of you have these series of houses or small duplexes, and one of the reasons I like one rental at a time, and I like having small portfolio of properties where you have individual properties, is you
Correct.
can do it. You can do exactly that. You can borrow. Let's say you get to 60 years old and you're like, all right, I want to start having living off my assets, and I have enough assets to do this. I have some Social Security. You could you can strategically borrow against them
Yep.
for the next one every 2 years to pull out 200,000 bucks. Now you, and if that's what the choice you want to make. I've also seen people, because you aren't working active income, you're not making 300,000 a year, you're in a lower tax bracket, you could strategically sell some of your
You
properties.
could.
It actually, there's some tax brackets still today, this changes over time, where if you're in the lower tax bracket and you sell a property, you pay zero capital gains tax.
Well, you
Like
could
that's
even do
that's still that's
something
still a
better.
thing.
I mean, I've done these deals with tire. I would actually, instead of selling it for the cash, I would sell it on a seller finance note.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Let's just say it's worth 400 grand. You take 25, so you get a check for 100 grand minus commission. So say you get 80 grand, and then you have a $300,000 note making 7.5% interest,
Yep.
and it's secured. So again, talk to your tax accountant. That would be a very tax efficient way
Yeah.
to get it done as well.
Yeah, so there's options, and I was going to point out one of the things I've done, because this is a very practical issue. This has been for me for years, because I've never had a steady job where I go and work a paycheck. I've either been flipping houses or being some kind of entrepreneur or living off rental income. And I love to talk about a practical kind of portfolio setup. If you're willing to kind of go there,
Yeah.
is for me, it was early on. It was flipping houses, and then it was transitioning to rentals and notes, like
Yep.
owner finance. So what you just described, like we would buy more than we needed. And in 2008 and 9, when like middle of the recession where we couldn't flip as many houses, we owner financed like 14 or 15 houses, got
Beautiful.
$10,000 down payments. And then we were able to get that, we had to foreclose on some because not everybody paid on time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we still have people paying us today who financed this
Beautiful.
from us in 2009. And we've been
Beautiful.
receiving a steady payment. We didn't have vacancies. We didn't have maintenance costs. They owned the property, and they've been paying us down over time, and the properties have been going up in value. So they've been
Mhm.
benefiting from owning it.
Yeah.
But for us as a rental investor, we wanted to kind of balance out the steadily growing but up and down nature of rental income with very steady fixed income from a
Yeah.
promissory note. And that's been a really good 1-2 punch for us.
Yeah, I mean, if you just want to go one level deeper and make it really practical for folks, I think if you're in your 30s, 40s, whatnot, you should actually, do the easiest way to become a landlord, and that is buy a home, live in it for 2 years, then make it a rental and buy the next one. And then by the time you're 60 or 65, you'll have 5 or 6 of these. They'll be paid off free and clear, and then you have so many more options,
Yeah.
right? Cash out refi, sell the note, live on the cash flows, complement your 401k, right? Um, I did the presentation at Bigger Pockets, and the first slide, or after the opening slide, was just the horrible statistics or facts about 65-year-olds today. Their average net worth is like 100 grand, or median net worth is 100 grand. You know, they have all this debt. It's just like, guys, it's not working,
Yeah.
right? The whole work for 40 hours for 40 years is not working. You need to have options. You need to complement. And yes, it's absolutely possible to live off rental income. We are both doing it and done it for years. But I don't think that's right for most people. You just got to
Yeah.
get to 4. Small and mighty investor, get to 4. Have better options.
Yeah. I agree. Well, so I think to kind of round this thing up is it's definitely possible. You have two examples here who've done it, but for most people, like having some kind of diversification, some kind of and seeing this as complementing also to me means like don't have put all your eggs in one basket. Like, have rental properties be one thing. You got your 401k in another basket, perhaps. Maybe you're looking at Social Security income. A lot of people have financial planners who kind of help them think through all the different baskets. I would just the pushback I've gotten lately. I think everybody has like a recency bias, and lately there's been vacancies.
Sure.
Lately, insurance has been going up. The cost of insurance has been going up. Lately, a lot of maintenance costs have been going up, and so you have these like roller coasters of expenses that go up and
Mhm.
down. And so I think a tendency to say is like, well, rental income doesn't work. You can't make money from rental income because you're getting squeezed on the operating expenses, and that's a short term truth. but long-term rental income is one of the most steady ways
Yeah.
that I know of to build like a foundation for your portfolio. So I like to encourage that to don't let the short-term waves like determine the long-term strategy necessarily.
Yeah, I've studied real estate really all kinds of investing all the way back to 1970, which means 55 years. And when you zoom out, the answer is own assets, right? Whether you like the fiat currency or not, doesn't matter. The game is the game. And it is very, very clear. If you want to be rich or wealthy, you have to own assets for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. And real estate is a great asset.
I thought I had a last question, but another angle, Michael. Are you what do you think about S&P 500 index funds, stocks, that kind of stuff? Are you a fan? Do you also do that?
I do not do that because, it's not my thing. But I do think it's right for most people. I think anything that Warren Buffett says around stocks is right. And I think Warren Buffett has often said most people should just get a low cost index fund and dollar cost average. Warren Buffett is the best investor of that I know in my lifetime. And I'm not going to go against what he says. It's a great diversification. You got a dollar cost average. But again, you're not a trader. You're going to own it for the long term. And if you look at the chart, it's really easy, right? Goes up. I don't know if you know this, but they've studied traders or investors for over 100 years. And you know who the best trader or investor is, Chad?
The one who forgets they have an account and they just hold it.
Sort of. It's the dead people.
Yeah, the dead people.
Because they don't trade, right? They just
Yeah,
hold for the long term. So there's some wisdom in all of that.
yeah, buy and hold. Well, I actually had a YouTube video on this not too long ago where I showed some of my asset breakdown, and I'm mostly real estate. I'm like 80% plus real estate, but I do see myself in the future owning like a bigger portion of my own portfolio being index funds. If nothing else, is like I think the principle is own assets, but then
Right.
I like to own different types of assets, and I think it's over time as the assets grow, having a diversification of just saying I want to own the 4,000 biggest businesses in the
You're
United
betting on
States, and
America.
let
It's never
let the
wrong.
yeah, exactly,
Never wrong.
and just
Yeah,
and just
betting
it's,
on America is never wrong.
it's pretty much a brain dead way to invest as well. Whether you're dead or whether you're alive, you just own these index funds and let it roll. So.
Yeah.
Anything else you would add to all this, Michael? That
No,
I wanted to talk about the living off your income, retirement income. Any other thoughts or feedback
no,
you have on this?
at the end of the day, folks, something that Coach Carson is great at doing, something I hope I strive to do as well is just to let you know what is possible. We're not here to do some get rich quick or get rich overnight. We're talking about building wealth, long-term sacrifice, daily discipline. It is who we are. You could find Coach at Coach Carson, get his books on Amazon or BP. Yeah, it's been great, Coach. Thank you for everything.
Thanks, Michael.
Take care.